In 2005, a British horror film was exported to American theaters. Before it arrived, the studio physically removed the last 2 minutes, not because of censorship, not because of violence, not because of ratings, because American audiences, they decided, were not emotionally equipped to know the truth. And so they cut it out, as if the truth were a loose thread on an otherwise presentable garment. And tonight, Jodie, we shall put on that thread.
Hello, everyone. And I have to say, Vincent pitched tonight's episode to me as the one where studios committed cinematic crimes, which is a strong statement.
It is an accurate one. Tonight we are examining 5 horror films that were changed, rearranged, softened, or surgically altered before they reached your eyes. The original endings, the real endings, were darker, smarter, and in some cases contained the entire point of the story. And in the infinite wisdom, the studios decided you couldn't handle them.
Could we handle them?
Well, we're about to find out. We begin somewhere familiar. Little Shop of Horrors, 1986. Frank Oz directing. And if you have been a loyal member of our morbidly curious community, you may have encountered our previous examination of this particular catastrophe in short form.
Oh yeah, the 5 million ending.
The 5 million ending. That's right. For those joining us for the first time, Frank Oz filmed the original Broadway musical's finale, a sprawling, magnificent, genuinely terrifying sequence in which Audrey II, the carnivorous botanical menace, wins. Not merely survives, wins. Seymour dies, Audrey dies, the plant releases spores across the planet, giant man-eating flowers tear through the cities, New York is consumed, the world ends, roll credits.
And audiences hated it.
Yes, test audiences were apparently devastated. They watched Seymour and Audrey fall in love, root for their survival, invest emotionally, and then the film murdered both of them and destroyed civilization. The studio cards came back 0 positive. They never recorded scores so low.
So what did they do?
They spent $5 million shooting a new ending, Jodie.
Did they save the original ending?
They did not. The original finale was destroyed. Prince discarded. It existed for 3 decades, only in fragments and in the memories of those who had seen it. It was only in 2012 that a complete restoration was finally assembled, and I, for one, considered that a crime of the highest botanical order.
Vincent, you just described the extinction of humanity as a preferable ending to suburban happiness.
The plant earned its victory, Jodie. 5 years of rehearsals and a foam rubber diva who required an entire zip code of assistance. And they ripped the ending away. The studio chose comfort over consequence. And that, my dear boy, is where tonight's theme truly begins. Oren Pele made Paranormal Activity for $15,000 in his own house.
Got a high-def camera on. My girlfriend Katie, she thinks there's something in the house. I don't know.
You believe me, right?
The doors are locked, alarm is on. If anything walks through here, it's gonna leave a pretty good footprint.
Did you hear that? Oh my god.
There's footsteps in, but there's no footsteps out.
You cannot run from this. It will find you.
This woman, same things happen to her.
Oh god. I feel it breathing on me.
Looks like something bit you.
You stop following me with the camera!
I'm in control. Paranormal Activity, rated R.
Please.
Over the course of a single week, the film was acquired by Paramount, given a national release, and proceeded to gross $193 million worldwide. It is one of the most profitable films ever made relative to its budget.
And it had a completely different ending?
Ooh, it had a considerably more disturbing one. The original cut ends as follows. Katie kills Micah off screen. She walks upstairs soaked in blood, sits on the floor of the bedroom. She does not speak. She does not move. She simply rocks back and forth for 2 days. When police finally arrive, she rises, walks towards them with a kitchen knife, and forces them to shoot her. The film ends on a police evidence card. No demon face, no jump scare, just a woman who was hollowed out by something that left nothing behind worth saving.
That's genuinely horrible.
It is, and then Steven Spielberg became involved. The story, which has since passed into Hollywood legend, is that Spielberg took the original cut home to screen privately. He watched it alone. He found it so profoundly unsettling that he reportedly returned the screener to Paramount, sealed inside a bag, convinced that something in the film had opened the doors of his house while he slept.
He thought the movie haunted his house?
He is Steven Spielberg. He's entitled to his phobias. His note to Paramount was simple. The ending needed to be changed. What was replaced? The rocking. The police. The hollow woman was discarded in favor of something audiences would leave the theater talking about rather than the disturbed by. Katie hurls Michael's body at the camera. She lunges. Demonic face. Jump scare. Audiences scream. Credits.
Is the jump scare ending worse?
Oh, the jump scare ending is effective. The original ending is true. There is rather a profound difference between a film that frightens you in the moment and one that stays in the room with you afterward. Paranormal Activity could have been both. It settled at Spielberg's suggestion for only the former. Before we continue our descent, so to speak, if you have not yet subscribed to Coffin Talk, there's no better moment than this one. 2 endings remain, and I promise you the final story contains a revelation so philosophically unsettling that it rather reframes everything you thought you understood about its film entirely. And now we return to the opening of tonight's proceedings, 2 minutes that were removed at the border.
The Descent.
Neil Marshall's masterpiece, 6 women, unmapped caves, creatures that have never seen the light. By any reasonable measure, one of the finest horror films of the last 30 years. The British release ends as follows. Sarah, our protagonist, escapes the cave. She reaches her car, drives away, pulls over, and vomits by the side of the road. When she straight up looks into the passenger seat, she sees Beth, her friend, the one she killed with a rock earlier in the film. A mercy killing, or so we were led to believe. Beth sits there, hollow-eyed and dead, holding a birthday cake. Sarah is still in the cave. She never escaped. The entire escape sequence was a hallucination born from a mind that had shattered completely in the dark. The film ends with her screaming, surrounded by creatures, utterly alone, with no exit and no hope. That is The Descent.
And the American version?
Ends with Sarah driving away. Roll credits. No. It ends with Sarah driving away. The camera holds on the road ahead. She survives. She is free. The credits roll.
They just cut out the truth.
2 minutes they removed. 2 minutes of footage and transformed a nihilistic, psychologically devastating meditation on grief and survival into a perfectly functional thriller with a protagonist who makes it home. The British version asked, what does extreme trauma do to the human mind? The American version asked, wasn't that exciting? Both questions have their place, Jodie, but only one of them is the film Neil Marshall made. Glenn Close was nominated for an Academy Award for playing Alex Forrest in Fatal Attraction. She did not win.
Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction. Winner is Cher in Moonstruck.
She has never won, and the ending that actually earned her that nomination, the one you have never seen, was buried in a test screening room in 1987. And was replaced with something considerably more satisfying and, well, considerably less true.
The original ending was completely different?
Entirely. In Adrian Lynn's original cut, Alex does not pick up the kitchen knife. She does not emerge from the bathtub. She does not die at the hands of the wronged wife in an act of domestic justice that allowed 1987 audiences to leave the cinema feeling that order had been restored. Instead, and I want you to appreciate the audacity of this, Jodie, Alex stages her own death. She slits her own throat. She uses the handle Dan touched. She frames him for murder.
Oh, she sets him up.
Oh, methodically, brilliantly, using the exact recording she made of his voice during their affair. Dan Gallagher, the man who used her, discarded her, and spent an entire film trying to erase her from his life, is arrested for a murder he didn't commit. Beth eventually discovers the recording and clears him, but for a very long time, the man who destroyed Alex Forrest is sitting in a cell, unable to explain himself, destroyed in return.
The audience would have hated that.
They did. Test screenings were by all accounts catastrophic. Audiences wanted, well, more of a happier ending. They wanted her gone. They were not prepared to discover that the film had been building to a different verdict entirely. The studio reshot. The bathtub scene was filmed. Glenn Close, who had genuinely understood Alex's tragedy, who had found the human devastation beneath the obsession, was handed a knife and a resurrection and asked to be a monster one final time so that a wife could shoot her dead and everyone could go home satisfied.
And Glenn Close? What did she think?
She has said with admirable restraint that she preferred the original ending, that it contained something the reshoot did not. What it contained, Jodie, was consequence, not for Alex, but for Dan. The theatrical ending punishes obsession. The original ending punishes cowardice. And in 1987, at the height of Reagan's America, cowardice was apparently not something cinemas were prepared to condemn. And now, Jodie, the one that contains not merely an alternate ending, but an alternate soul.
Blade Runner.
Ridley Scott, Harrison Ford, 1982, Los Angeles 2019, a world of perpetual rain and neon moral decay where synthetic humans, replicants, are hunted and retired by specialists called Blade Runners. Deckard is sent to eliminate 4 escaped replicants. He falls in love with one who doesn't know she isn't human. He succeeds. He survives. The theatrical release closes with Deckard and Rachel driving through a sunlit countryside, a voiceover assuring us they will be together, that Rachel is different, that everything will be fine. That footage, Jodie, was unused material from Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. That studio purchased it specifically to manufacture a happy ending Ridley Scott did not want, did not shoot, and spent 4 decades attempting to exorcise from history. And the voiceover, the hard-boiled detective narration Harrison Ford delivers throughout the theatrical cut. Ford has called it, I believe his exact phrase, terrible.
He figured he was wrong. Tyrell had told me Rachel was special. No termination date.
He recorded it in deliberate protest, hoping the studio and hear how wrong it was and relent.
They didn't relent.
They used it anyway, because test audiences in 1982 found Scott's original ending, Deckard and Rachel in an elevator, doors closed, destination unknown, survival unguaranteed, too bleak, too uncertain, no reassurance that they survive, and so the film about the nature of humanity, about what it means to be real, about whether our memories define us or imprison us, was given an ending borrowed from a horror film about a haunted hotel pasted over the top like wallpaper over a wound, and released to a public that largely had no idea what they were missing.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
And the director's cut fixed it?
The 1992 director's cut restored the ambiguity. The 2007 final cut, the one Scott considers definitive, added the unicorn dream sequence, a detail of breathtaking implications. Jodie, Deckard dreams of a unicorn. Gaff, his colleague, leaves an origami unicorn at his door, which means Gaff knew what Deckard dreamed, which means Deckard's dreams are not his own, which means the man who spent the entire film hunting replicants for failing to be human may not be human himself. The theatrical cut, with its sunshine and voiceover and borrowed Kubrick footage, contains none of this. It has no room for it. It's too busy being comforting to be true.
The studio made a film about artificial humans and then gave it an artificial ending.
Oh, Jodie, I've never been more proud of you. 5 films, 5 endings that studios decided you were not ready for. A plant that conquered the world, a woman who never left the cave, a found footage ghost story that chose to go bump in the night rather than leave something truly unresolved, a wrong woman who should have sent an innocent man to prison, and a Blade Runner who is never meant to drive into the sunshine because the sunshine was borrowed from a horror picture, and the man behind the wheel may not have been human at all.
Is there a pattern between all of them?
Discomfort. Every original ending we examined tonight chose discomfort over resolution. It asked the audience to sit with something unresolved, a revelation, something that just didn't make sense, that had no clean exit, and in each case, someone with a financial stake in the proceedings decided that that was too much to ask.
You don't think they were wrong exactly. You think they were just choosing something different.
I think the films that have lodged most permanently in our collective imagination, the ones we are still discussing, still debating, still watching decades later, are rarely the comfortable ones. I think the cut that hurts is often the cut that matters. And I think that somewhere in an edit bay in 1982, Ridley Scott watched a man drive into borrowed sunshine from a Kubrick picture and knew with absolute certainty that he was watching someone else's film. Tell us in the comments below, which of tonight's original endings do you believe should have made it to theaters? And which, if any, do you think the studio actually got right? We genuinely want 3, 2, 1. We genuinely want to know. Until next time, my dreadful darlings, pleasant nightmares.